This is Tony, and this is going to be the image that I'm going to be working with. And it's an image of a glacier that's found in South America. And the name of this glacier is called Pedrito Mariano Glacier, and it can be found in the Los Glaciares National Park in Argentina. And what's interesting about this image was that it was taken in 1965. And because this glacier is constantly growing, a lot of these structures and artifacts that we'll be looking at are probably covered up with ice by now. Here's a more recent picture, and as you can see, the area is now being covered with that ice. Here is the resource information for this image. It can be found in National Geographic Society. Here's the coordinates for that glacier, and here's the location of it on the map. And as you can see, it's located in the Andes. Now we're going to go to the climate map. And it's located, that glacier is located dead center in the Patagonian ice fields, which means the deterioration rate is going to be a lot slower due to the ice. The word Patagonia means large foot, and then the parallel meanings is Bigfoot or giants. And you have to remember, anytime you have giants, megalithic stone structures, or pyramids, they are directly related to the Anunnaki. I'm going to take the image now, and I'm going to begin to enhance the color. But before I do that, I'm going to stop right here. Notice that this image looks almost fake, like it's been painted. And the reason for it is because it's been done or redone in white and real light gray colors. And what that does is it hides a lot of the details in this image that will become visible as I process it and begin to enlarge it. Okay, we can stop right there. Here's some of the structures. Notice it goes all the way up to a peak and comes down. Also, it has a bend in it. Stone does not bend unless there's a metal frame on it, and the frame is covered with stone, and that's exactly what this is. If you look in the back, here is a almost perfect A-shaped or triangle-shaped building, and you can see the frame, and you can see where some of the material, the stone, has deteriorated and eroded away from the main frame. Over here to the left, when I first started working with this image, I thought this was some type of round circular craft that had crashed into this structure. But the more that I began to examine it, I realized that this is a round structure, a building or something of some sort that stood up by these structures. And then over the millions of years, as these structures begin to deteriorate, when this one here collapsed, and I'll show it to you, it's right here. And here's the center part. And apparently when it collapsed down the middle and folded out, and it pushed this structure over, and whatever this is, this structure here, it caused it to fall over. Now, if you notice this stone right here, this was part of these structures here. And when it collapsed, the stones fell across this round structure. And if you look close enough here, it broke part of this structure off. Now, this is a debris field, and there's really no way of knowing exactly what it is because it is blended due to the coloration. I'm going to enhance this some more. Okay, in this enhancement, you can see the structure, this round structure better. You can actually see through the other side of this triangle-shaped structure. And then there's another round one here, but you really can't make out what it is. Now there's a some type of structure that's hollow. That's what this whitish blue part is looking into it. And there's an artifact that we'll see clearer in a minute that looks like it has fallen in this direction. Now, part of this structure is right here. It's perfectly 90 degrees square. And then there's two protrusions of probably of the material or how it was built, shows slightly. I'm going to continue to enhance it. Now I used this color, that way you can see this structure. You can see inside of this A-frame here, you can see where it's separated. And then you can see that stone that fell across this piece that I talked about earlier. And then in the background, you can see there's that artifact that's beginning to show itself. Okay, in this image, these A structures or these triangle structures were built, or they were built for one reason, and it's because these triangular structures are the strongest structures you can build. They're very stable and they can handle a lot of weight. Now, if you're not familiar with my videos, I'm not going to repeat myself and go into this with too much depth about what I'm going to say. Is a lot of y'all have never seen them. You think this is a structure that's built on a mountain. These structures are the mountain, and this is what's left of them. The Andes, along with the Trans-Antarctic mountains, at one time were megalithic stone structures, and over the millions of years of them being hollow and deteriorating and collapsing in on themselves, they look like mountains. They even have peaks like mountains because, like I said, they were originally designed in a triangle shape. I'm going to enhance it again. And then you can see all the artifacts here, especially the stone that fell across this round structure. What's amazing about this image is the information. And what this image is telling us is that the Nazca lines, Machu Picchu, and I don't know if I can say it, but I think it's Puku, they were all constructed by the Anunnaki. So there's one of the answers for those archaeology sites. And another piece of information that you might find interesting is that when the Anunnaki first came to Earth to colonize it, which was millions of years ago, in the cuneiform, or in the Sumerian cuneiform text, they talk about that they disliked our atmosphere for the fact that it was too hot and the air was too thick. So that would be one of the reasons that the Anunnaki lived at these very high altitudes. They were just more adaptable to the cooler and thinner air. Now I'm going to take you to Antarctica, where the Andes actually originated from. the trans-Antarctic mountains in Antarctica. They start right here, and they continue about right here, and they seem to stop, and they also seem to split in this direction. So I don't know if it's they have deteriorated or really exactly what happened, but I feel like that they continued up into the Antarctic Peninsula, and when this landmass was connected, they became what we call today as the Andes. And the reason that I say that is because I've posted a lot of videos with different artifacts here, and then at the very tip of this Antarctica Peninsula, I found this artifact, which is mostly submerged underwater, which would look like a mountain, but as you can tell, the structure itself is shorn because a lot of the stone that was overlaid that covered it has deteriorated and fallen away, and then you can see the structure parts of it, and then you can definitely tell on the top part that this was intelligently and artificially made, and plus the inside of it is hollow. Antarctica has a lot of geological anomalies in it, especially in this area called the Trans-Antarctic Mountains and the Gambursiv Mountains here. And we already know there's a city here, and these are actually megalithic stone structures. So the question is, does the Andes have any geological anomalies? And the answer is yes. There's several articles about the paradox about the Andes, and so I pulled one out at random. And in this article, it talks about the Andes paradox, which is they're extremely tall for being so geologically young. And then we're going to look at one of the paragraphs, and it talks about it right here. It says, but for every rule, there is an exception. Consider the Himalaya and Andes mountains. As you notice, they put the Himalaya paradox in with the Andes, and that is because the Himalayas at one time were megalithic structures, and maybe later on, if I can get enough material, I can prove that theory. And then it says, despite their relative geologic youth, these mountain belts rank among the world's tallest peaks, and therein lies the mountainous paradox. How do geologically young mountains become so tall? I decided at the last minute to go ahead and add this image into this video, and the image comes from this area, and here's the structure, and I'm going to change it and enhance it to bring this image out. Okay, we'll stop right here. If you look, even though this structure has gone through millions of years of erosion, it still has almost perfect 90-degree edges on it. And if you look under here, you can see that there's inlets or indentations that are evenly spaced apart. And then you have this other artifact here, which was part of the structure, but the nature of this image, there was no way for me to bring that out in any type of detail. So I'm going to change it again, darken it, and then you can see that structure or artifact or whatever it is, then it has something in it. And then now you can see the indentations really well, how flat the bottom of the structure is, which actually was the side. And you can see where it's connected right here.